Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for our third day of our Precious Metals and Critical Minerals Conference. The next presentation of the day is from Guanajuato Silver. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for a one-on-one meeting by clicking Book a Meeting. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome James Anderson, Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of Guanajuato Silver, which trades on the OTCQX. They're one of our best 50 companies, which trades under the symbol GSVRF and on the TSXV under the symbol GSVR. Welcome back, James.
Greg, thanks very much. Thanks for having me. And I do want to thank the OTC Capital Markets for awarding us that Best 50 Company moniker. It's very helpful. I think it is reflective of the growth that the company has had not only over the last year, but over the last several years. Thanks everyone for joining me in this world of virtual conferences. Of course, I cannot see anybody, but there is an opportunity to ask questions as we go along, and we'll tackle that towards the end. So Guanajuato Silver, we produce gold. I'm going to be telling you about our mining operations in central Mexico. I think it is apropos that we just comment a little bit. We have a downdraft in the silver and gold markets today. And I think that that's helpful in the precious metals world. We always have, sharp ups and downs. I'm going to suggest that perhaps this is an opportunity for investors to relook at companies like Guanajuato Silver when the stocks are a little bit cheaper and when the price of gold and silver are a little bit under pressure. I think that's more of an opportunity than something to be afraid of. Likewise, we do like to take this opportunity to be able to advertise our bullion store. We sell 1 ounce silver coins and 10 ounce silver bars. They are the, roughly the same ounces of silver that you can buy anywhere else in the world. However, we are very fond of our logos and design, and we think that our silver coins and indeed our 10 ounce silver bars are some of the best looking out there in the marketplace. So if you're considering a purchase of some silver bullion, please have a look at our website and our bullion store and see how ours stack up against others. There's 2 or 3 other things that I'm going to want to focus on through this transaction, and it'll be the growth of our company over the last several years and how we've transformed this company into Mexico's fastest growing silver and gold mining company. A focus that we'll have for the discussion here today is our recently completed transaction. Recently, we've purchased another mine, our 5th mine, this one also in the Guanajuato area called Bolañitos. We closed the transaction on January 15th, purchasing this mine from Endeavor Silver for $50 million US. That's 40 million upfront, which was 30 million in cash and $10 million in our shares, and an additional $10 million in future payments likely to be paid in 12 months and 24 months, respectively. So we'll talk about that, especially in how Bolañitos, what we're going to be able to do to integrate Bolañitos into our production profile. And towards the end of the conversation, I'm going to talk about some of the metrics regarding the silver market in total. Silver's had a tremendous run, although continuing to be very volatile and pulling back today and for the last couple of weeks. But why we think that the general bull market for silver will continue, and some of the important metrics of the silver market. Oops, let me do that. So here you get a chance to see a map of Mexico, obviously. In gray here, the state of Guanajuato, with, on the inset map, the city of Guanajuato. And you can see most of our assets, including really 4 producing mines, El Cubo, Valenciana, San Ignacio, and the newly acquired Bolañitos, all illustrated on this map. Our development project, El Pinguico, right here, only about 8 kilometers away, and we expect to be able to begin transporting material from a large underground stockpile at El Pinguico later this year to Cubo for production. And Sabata, which is another past producing mine. It hasn't been in production for some time. This was came into our portfolio as part of the Bolanitos transaction. It's a direct extension of the Valenciana corridor along the Veta Madre structure, which is a large structure that influences the silver and gold deposition at Valenciana and Sabata. So being able to look at both of these properties, a total of 8 kilometers of Veta Madre stretching between the two of them, that is going to be a focus of exploration and development for us for many years to come. Also, before I leave this particular slide, looking at our Topia operation in the state of Durango to the north. Topia came along with our acquisition of Great Panther's Mexican silver assets several years ago. At the time, it was sort of thrown in for free. Topia is a smaller operation, but very high grade, and it continues, especially with this silver market, to be a very important part of the Guanajuato silver story and an important asset for us. Here is a picture that we like to have of the city of Guanajuato. I spent a lot of time in Guanajuato. I was there for about a week last week. As I've mentioned to many of our investors over the years, it is no hardship to spend a lot of time in Guanajuato. It is safe. The climate is excellent. You're at about 6,200 feet in elevation. So even in the Mexican summers, it never gets scorchingly hot. The food's good, the people are friendly. And so organizing our company and the mining assets around Guanajuato has always made a lot of sense to us. Just as importantly, Guanajuato has a 450-year mine history. All of the mines in our portfolio are older in nature, especially Valenciana, which has a 450-year history of production. And it has been in production on and off, but mostly on for that period of time. Another really important aspect of Guanajuato silver in comparison to some of the other small cap Mexican silver producers. So a lot of the other companies are really base metal companies, base metal production companies, disguised as silver companies, perhaps because they have a large silver byproduct. Guanajuato silver is different than that. Our company produces precious metals, mostly silver, and just a little bit of lead and zinc. Now, the statistics that you're looking at here right now are from our Q3 revenue numbers. Adding Bolanitos into the mix, which has no base metals, but it's a little bit more of a gold mine than a silver mine. Once we add that into the mix, what you're going to see is about 55% of our production by revenue is silver, about 40% for gold, and then only about 5% for base metals. So if you're looking for a precious metals producer with a real silver focus, we're your company. This is a look at consolidated production in 2025 from all of our current operations. This includes Bolanitos production as well. So about 1.8 million ounces of silver, 25,000 ounces of gold, and 2.7 million pounds of lead, 3.3 million pounds of zinc. Of course, from a revenue perspective, you saw that on the previous slide, it is silver, and then to a lesser degree gold, and much lesser degree for our base metal production. This is a slide that we're always proud of as well. Within a 5-year period of time, starting 2026, over the last 5 years, we have purchased and put back into production 5 mines, a total of 4 processing facilities, although what we've done in December in anticipation of the Bolanitos transaction is to put our Valenciana processing plant called Cata on care and maintenance. I'm just going to go back to this slide for a moment. Well, actually, forgive me. This is a better look at it. We've put this plant on care and maintenance. We continue to mine at Valenciana, but that material that we mine will be transported to the Cubo plant for processing. So now we've got Bolanitos, this processing plant, and the Cubo processing plant available to process all of the material that we mine in the greater Guanajuato district. And in this way, what we're doing is taking 3 processing plants that over the last several years have had usage of between 60 and 70%. By closing the Valenciana plant, we can now have the Bolanitos and Cubo plants used at a close to 90% availability rate. So I think that's going to be very helpful for us. I'm just going to go back momentarily to this. Once again, the company in 2020, let's say, had a $3 million market cap. Those are Canadian dollars. Today, we've got close to a $600 million market cap. And I think that that's simply reflective of the rapid growth of our company over this last several years. So you can see here the Bolanitos assets all in blue and how complementary they are. Immediately, the Bolanitos mine immediately adjacent to San Ignacio. We'll show you a couple of slides on that as we go through. But the obvious synergies, a lot of times M&A is done in the mining business, and really there's no direct synergies between buying one mine and another. That is not the case here. There are direct synergies really almost immediately. For years and years, production from San Ignacio was trucked over to the Valenciana plant for processing, or recently sometimes to the Cubo plant. Today, we can take material from San Ignacio and deliver it immediately adjacent to the Bolanitos operation. Last week, when I was in Guanajuato, I went underground at the Lucero mine, the part of the Bolanitos production, and at San Ignacio. And it was very interesting, refreshing, exciting for me to be able to hear the excitement in the voices of the geologists and mining engineers, both from the Bolanitos side and from the San Ignacio side, really eager to begin the process of integrating these mining operations together. And that process is starting immediately. Here's a look at the resources and reserves that we've purchased from Bolanitos. Globally, what we've got, if we add all of these together, is about 25 million silver equivalent ounces, which is a very similar number that we have from our San Ignacio operation. So really, in terms of resources that can keep the greater Bolanitos mine operating for years and years to come, we have that from San Ignacio and Bolanitos combined. So that for me is very exciting. I'm going to go to this slide here. What this shows at the Bolanitos area, again, everything is in red is from the Bolanitos side of the operations. Everything in purple is from the San Ignacio side of the operation. So very easy to see, even from a layman's perspective, well, okay, these things should be mined together, can be mined together very easily. There's some immediate low-hanging fruit in terms of our ability to be able to develop more resources very quickly. One of them is this Purísima vein. Generally in Mexico, people don't mine to within about 30 meters of your neighbor's claim boundary, just to make sure that there's no legal problems. That was done here from both sides, from both Endeavor and Guanajuato Silver side. However, now there's no reason not to do that. So in terms of being able to drive development between these two operating faces, that's being done right now. We'll be connecting this area and this area over here at Lucero almost immediately. Development work will be started within this month to be able to drive that forward as well. We're looking at the other assets within our portfolio. This is El Cubo. It's a big plant. We have an ability to be able to process about 1,500 tons a day here. Over the last couple of years, we've been averaging maybe 900 tons a day. So being able to reorganize our production within the Guanajuato district to have production here and at the Bolañitos plant, that obviously is going to be very, very helpful. I have mentioned over the years our trajectory. What we've been able to do is to buy great mining assets very cheaply during the downturn. At El Cubo, we paid only $15 million for the El Cubo operation, whereas the last time it changed hands, Endeavour Silver paid $200 million for it. That bargain basement pricing we managed to get for the other 3 mines that we bought from Great Panther. And I was contemplating that what I would have to be able to say to audiences like this is when we bought Bolañitos, that perhaps we paid full market value for it. It's a operating mine. It's one that Endeavour Silver professionally ran for many years and invested a lot of money. They were investing about $15 million annually in ongoing capex. So paying $50 million for that asset made sense to me. However, I can say to you today that the pricing and the negotiation for that was done about $1,500 ago on gold, and I don't know, maybe about $30 or $40 ago on silver. So I think with Bolañitos as well, I can maintain Guanajuato Silver's trajectory of being able to say that we have gotten bargains on all of our mining assets within Mexico. This is Valenciana. This is the mine that has been in production for 450 years. And what you're looking at is a picture of the plant that we've just put on care and maintenance. So this plant is available to us on short notice to be able to be up and running again if there was any issues with our other production facilities within the Guanajuato area. However, what we would like to be able to do is to keep this on care and maintenance for the time being and process all of our material through the Bolañitos plant or the Cubo plant. And here is San Ignacio. Just as a comment about how close the 2 operations are or have been historically, what you see is the waste pile from San Ignacio, and then in the background you can see one of the waste piles from the Bolañitos side of the equation. So I used to say to Dan Dixon from there, who's the CEO of Endeavour Silver, well, these 2 operations are only a 7-iron shot away. We should really operate them together. So now, after many years, these 2 mining operations will be run together, and I think with great synergies for Guanajuato Silver. So going 1,000 kilometers to the north, this is our Topia processing plant and our Topia mine. Again, it's a smaller operation, but very high grade. The resource that we have here is about 1 kilo of silver equivalent per ton. So we process a lead concentrate here with very high silver contents and also a zinc concentrate as well. All of our other concentrates that we make in the Guanajuato area are gold and silver only. And again, that is a bit of a distinction from other silver and gold mining companies. You can see the progress that we've made in terms of market valuation over the last 12 months or so. You can also see some of the large shareholders that we have, including Fidelity. That's the Fidelity Silver and Gold Select Fund from Boston. Generally, that fund doesn't come down market to a smaller market cap like ours, but we managed to convince them that with our growth opportunities that they should be participants, and they've been shareholders for some time now. Ocean Partners is the group that we sell almost all of our concentrates to. It's a British firm, but they do a lot of business in Latin America. They have provided capital for the growth of our company almost right from day one. So we have a very good relationship with Ocean Partners, and they continue to be very supportive, strong shareholders. Endeavour Silver, Sprott, that's Eric Sprott, not one of the Sprott companies. Eric has written fairly large checks to the company for our expansion and growth over the last couple of years, and he remains a large shareholder. Our board of directors, I know, people often like to sort of go into all of the names. I think it's probably too many for us to go through today, but it's a board and leadership team that generally has been together with Guanajuato Silver for the last 5 or 6 years. We've added some names along the way. But I think that consistency is one of the things that has driven the growth of Guanajuato Silver along the way. So I'm just going to take a few minutes. Some of the audience will know lots about the silver mining market. Some of you will not. But I just want to make a few comments before we go on to questions. First of all, when we started building and developing Guanajuato Silver a number of years ago, I had it in mind that I wanted to build a precious metals producing company with a silver focus. Well, if you're going to do that, there's only a few countries around that it sort of makes sense to go to. Mexico being one of them. Even today, Mexico is about a quarter of the silver production in the world. So that's really the raison d'etre for our focus on Mexico as a jurisdiction to go mining precious metals. One of the things that's very unique about the silver market is that only a quarter of the silver that is produced from mines in the world actually comes from primary silver mines. 3/4 of the silver comes from non-silver mines as byproduct, from lead and zinc mines or copper mines, gold mines. And it has always been my contention that as the silver price moved up, people were not going to put new lead and zinc mines or new copper mines into production solely to get byproduct silver out of it, unless silver goes to $200 an ounce or something. I maintain that position, and I think that the way that silver, the price of silver has moved dramatically higher over the last 3 or 4 months. Generally, I think that it has not met with a whole bunch of new silver production. And because of this equation, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's going to continue for some years to come. Silver has been in a supply deficit for 4 years, somewhat because of what I'm talking about in the last slide. You've got total silver demand of about 1.2 billion ounces. Silver supply, meanwhile, is 1 billion only, leaving 200 million as a supply deficit. Where does that supply deficit get filled from? Well, for the last several years, from above ground stockpiles, either from a COMEX stockpile, London bullion market stockpile, or in Shanghai. Well, okay, but that cannot go on forever. And I think that several months ago, the market kind of met an inflection point and said, well, if there's so little silver around to fill that deficit, then the silver price has to respond, and that's what it has done. So why so much silver demand? Almost all of the marginal silver demand increase comes from the solar industry. You can't make a photovoltaic cell without silver. And the growth in silver demand from an industrial standpoint right now, almost all of it comes from the solar industry. I realize that the American administration in Washington are not very friendly in terms of supporting renewable resources, renewable energy, but the rest of the world continues to build solar farms that are enormous. In fact, as we go through towards the rest of this decade, you're going to see more and more enormous solar parks, not just in China, not just in India, but throughout North Africa, throughout Latin America. Where we get the silver from for that energy demand is an open question. Elon Musk thinks the same thing. In gold here, you've got numbers for photovoltaic capacity additions, and you can see the sharp inflection of continued additions towards the end of this decade. In black, what you've got is the silver necessary to put those into production. So certainly for the next several years, that's going to continue. People ask me a lot of times, so, what's your relationship with the communities that you operate in? My answer regarding Guanajuato especially is we don't have a relationship with the communities. We are the communities. Somos Guanajuato is a phrase that we use both in Mexico and when we're talking about the company internationally. Currently, we have, if we include all of our employees and contractors, it's about 2,200 people that we employ in Mexico. Last week, I got the opportunity to meet with the mayor of Guanajuato and her entourage, as well as what we would say is the minister of the economy for the state of Guanajuato. We've become an important company in the community. The politicians either recognize that or are beginning to recognize that. And so our interface with politicos within the Mexican community continues. This is a slide that shows all of our resources at our different mining operations. And I'm just going to make one more comment before we open it up to a few questions. We do have one other asset, which is about 80 kilometers to the northwest of Guanajuato. It's called El Orcon. You can see right here, it has a small resource on it. It was a past producing mine, maybe 50 years ago or more. El Orcon, to me, is a fantastic exploration project. There are about 12 different on-echelon veins in place. You can easily see the different pulses of mineralization that have been emplaced there when the deposit was being formed. Some of the veins exhibit characteristics like those in Guanajuato, where you've got silver and gold only. Some of them have a more base metal component. But Orcon is a fantastic exploration project. And as we move the company forward and expand our production, you're also going to be seeing and hearing a lot about El Orcon exploration as we go forward. So I'm going to just switch this over slightly and go to just a few questions that we've got time for. One of the questions reads, as you build scale, would you consider a dual listing upgrade, New York Stock Exchange, to broaden your shareholder base and potentially improve trading liquidity and valuation multiples? So let me answer that in a number of different ways. Number one, we're very proud of the market outreach that we have. Last year, we were the top trader on the TSX Venture Exchange. The accolades that we got being in the top 50 companies on the OTCQX, a lot of that has to do with market appreciation and volumes that we trade. So we have what I consider to be a good market outreach program. However, as the company grows, would we consider a New York Stock Exchange listing? Absolutely. We are considering that, have considered it. At the right time, we will pull the trigger on that. I'm not 100% sure that today is the right time, but we're getting closer and closer. There's a question, where do you see the most compelling near mine exploration upside right now? Purísima at Bolanitos, deeper extensions at Valenciana, or additional structures near Cubo? Well, all of the above. I am an explorationist at heart, and the number of different opportunities for expansion are considerable. I think right now, and perhaps it was just because it was the focus of my trip last week to Guanajuato, but I think right now there are opportunities that neither Endeavor nor Guanajuato Silver really executed on because we sort of ran into each other's claim boundaries. So there are immediate, obvious exploration and development opportunities at Bolanitos San Ignacio, which we will be moving forward on immediately. All of your mines are in Mexico. Would you look at acquiring mines and projects outside of Mexico? If so, where? So if you had asked me this just a number of months ago, I would have said no. We're a small company. We're very laser focused on Mexico. I think that now that we've kind of turned the page on the acquisition of Bolanitos, there are obvious acquisition and M&A activities, not only in Guanajuato, but other places in central Mexico where it would only where Guanajuato Silver would be the company that it would make the most sense to be the consolidator. However, There are other opportunities in different countries. It says where. Frankly, I think looking north to either Canada or the United States would be the most logical place for us to continue our expansion if it's not in Mexico. Here someone asks, you highlight your bullion store and we produce silver, we produce gold branding. Over time, do you see potential to build a recognizable G Silver bullion or branded product offering that captures a premium from retail or institutional buyers? Well, perhaps. One of the great things about gold and silver is that it is gold and silver. So I'm not sure what we could do to fancy it up to get a real premium purchase. I know when we first started the bullion store a couple of years ago, my instructions to JJ and Susanna, who work for us and operate the store, was under no circumstances are we to lose any money at it. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been an important part of our market outreach and branding for the company. I think expanding some different offerings within the store, I think, makes the most sense in terms of what we might want to do next. Greg, I'm mindful of time. I'm just going to keep looking at questions until you tell me otherwise. It says you've assembled a diversified portfolio of silver, gold, lead, zinc from multiple districts. Over time, do you see value in spinning out non-core assets or creating a royalty streaming vehicle to crystallize value and highlight the core Guanajuato story? Well, I think the vast majority of the assets currently are in and around Guanajuato. The only one that stands aside from that really is Topia. Would we spin that out? I don't know that Topia is big enough, strong enough, for us to be able to have a standalone company from it. I'm not interested in putting any royalties on any of these assets. I think that is a cumbersome business decision that does not help most mining opportunities. I'm told to wrap it up. Thank you all so very much for watching the story, watching the company grow over the last several years, and for your questions. I hope I've answered most of them. Thank you so very much.